What's going on, family? Welcome to IMR. It's Rex Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be discussing a horror film that goes down in history as one of the greatest. Well-written, well-produced, well-directed movies, in my opinion, of all time. Really close to being a masterpiece, in my humble opinion. And we're going to be discussing Get Out from 2017. This stars and introduces Daniel Kaluuya as Chris, who's a successful black man whose girlfriend, Rose, played by Allison Williams, is taking him to meet her parents for the first time. Chris is worried that they're going to be putting him off because he's black, but Rose assures him that they're not racist. At first, Chris is welcomed by her mom and dad, but soon he begins to realize that something isn't quite right with this family. And that was basically a summary in a nutshell. This is a movie that I had interest in, but for some reason I never got around to actually going seeing it in the movie theater. I got to see it way afterwards because I almost forgot about it too. For some reason at that time, I guess I was just really busy when it comes to work and family and just life, you know, it gets you after a while. And so I had a lot of friends recommend this movie to me. And, you know, I went and I think I rented it on demand. And this movie to me was more than a welcome, yet it was an uneasy visit. It was an experience nonetheless. I actually saw this by myself at home. My daughter was in school, my wife was working. I believe I had the day off. And like I was saying, Get Out was very highly recommended by a friend, also a fellow film enthusiast, which helped, especially me renting the movie. And subject matter of the film really interested me. Add that to a very promising trailer, the award nominations and wins, and mostly positive word of mouth, even with the very local detractors, right? And the interest was even higher. High expectations were not only met, but also expected. Apologies for the cliches, but to me, that's the best way to sum up my personal experience watching Get Out. I can see why it was well received, and I could also see why it was divided by audiences here and there. While it never stands out to me as the most racist film I've seen, there's been plenty out there. This comes off pretty mild when it comes to that subject matter. But it was definitely one of the most better films of 2017. And the movie does live up to the hype. It's incredibly made, visually, with stylish and unsettling cinematography. Love the picture and the editing and some disturbing surreal imagery that adds up too. And it enhances your experience. The unease and the sense of dread and tension in the film, that's what makes this a horror film at the end of the day. That direction was done by a first-time director, which was a shock in itself, and that's Jordan Peele. One of the most outstanding debut directing jobs in history, and for me personally, seen in a long time. It's nostalgic in its embracing of contemporary and classic horror, and also brave in the accomplished handling of the film's combative themes. Being somebody who considers music important when talking about it, especially when it comes to film, the music looms suitably, ominously, and it fits well. Get Out benefits from an extremely smart and clever script. It takes on a lot of elements and balances, and the individual elements are handled very effectively. Kudos to the screenplay. And despite how it sounds, Get Out struck me as more of a thriller, not a horror. It does have horror and comedic elements. It's highly successful on its front. With the thriller elements being taught, suspenseful, unsettling at times, the comedic ones being darkly funny and clever, and the horror ones being imaginatively, shockingly subtle and uneasy at times. There's even some social commentary and interracial themes explored. And I feel like they were done thoughtfully and just about avoids the preachiness while hitting the plot very hard. While all the performances are very fine, it's Daniel Kaluuya, who's Suburb, as the lead performance in this. And, it's going to burn through your memory when you think about this movie, because he's the one that basically stands out. It's kind of like Will Smith and I Am Legend. If you feel like he's in this movie kind of by himself, although the supporting characters are great and they do stand out, especially Lakeith Stanfield. Oh man, his character had me like on my seat, My only complaint of Get Out is the ending. It felt tacked on, and it came across as a different film. To me, it ended on a tonally jarring that's it note. I expected more from the ending. Doesn't take away from my movie experience. It doesn't take away from the movie, but it does take away that one thing. It could have been a 10 out of 10, but my final rating, after I finish my review, you're gonna see what I give it. But the film was really close for me to being a masterpiece. It was so frustrating that it missed out on that distinction, because it's a great film. And not only amongst that year's best films, but it was one of the best films, I feel, of all time in that genre. It was brought down by that overwhelming ending. And I give this movie a 9 out of 10. Extremely well written. It's basically a tale of racial horrors, you could say. And, for Jordan Peele, who wrote and directed this film, which pretty much came out of nowhere, and for this movie to become a hit like it was, an even bigger hit with the crowds and the masses, I don't think anyone would have guessed that this film would have made the amount of money and got the attention it really got. It's rather a strange picture, and it did it. I call this a liberal horror, I'll also lump Don't Breathe in this genre, but for the most part, it's a very impressive horror film, and you should definitely go out and check this out. This film benefits from a lot of terrific themes, and I would like to hear from you and see what you thought of the film. So definitely leave that comment below, like this video, so that way, it does wonders with the algorithm, and, hit that notification bell so that way you can stay in tune with what I have next. And subscribe to the next one. Peace, guys.